history yet. I would have to talk to the chief, and our chief is just brand new. We just got another one.
So I mean, a second one within the year, or?
We had Gene Cooney, so this is number 3. We had Gene Cooney, then we had Gene McLaughlin, who is also the VA patient advocate, in case some of you are familiar with the name. And then now we have Ellen. She's only been there since Monday, so I forgot her last name. Been on board since Monday. She came from orthopedics. She was in charge of the orthopedic department, and now she's my boss upstairs. So she went from the 3rd floor to the 4th floor. Yeah, I was thinking. I know I tried to talk fast, not to take too much of your time, but also I don't want to be remiss if you have any questions or anything that I didn't cover.
Joe?
I know I spoke very quickly over the Fisher House. Poor Joe is in the dark, as the rest of us are. What we are is Joe and I are on the board of directors for the Fisher House. I am the secretary. The chairman of the board, or the president of the board, is Mike Sabo. He was a Vision 3 director, so he's a medical director that's retired. He retired from the VA and went into private industry, not private practice, private industry, because he's working. So we formulated a board, we have full membership of the board. Unfortunately, we really haven't done anything because nothing's really happened on the other side. But unfortunately, we have a lot more questions than we have answers for you folks. I know that the director grabbed me on Wednesday 3 different times. I think the first time was 8:30 when I was trying to get a cup of coffee. Then he caught me in the cafeteria. He caught me in the hallway later on during the course of the day. And then I finally gave him an answer I went back to the director and said, sir, at no expense to the government, at no expense to anybody, I am personally going down to Washington to get you some answers. Because him as a director of the VA Medical Center has no answers. So hopefully I'll be able to rectify that and come back to you folks equally as well and give you. He's getting lumped up from unions. There's nurses, there's all the staff, the union staff. He's getting lumped up from them. Over the parking, he's getting lumped up by veterans that walk in over the parking. Everybody's beating him up about parking. And rightfully so, I get it. But unfortunately, I don't have an answer. So hopefully I'll come back with one, at least for the next meeting.
We appreciate it. We appreciate your volunteer work and all the guys from especially from the Coney Post. We have 3 or 4 guys over there. We also have Jewish war veterans over there. And thank you very much for your work and keeping an eye on this.
You have DEV. DEV was represented there.
Chapter 23.
I'm trying to think of all the organizations. Jewish War Vet, you mentioned. American Legion and DAV. And I think that's it as far as veteran organizations.
And you are on 4, I'll get this right here, 4C?
4B, as a boy.
See, I told you, 4B?
53.
I'll get that
volunteer service.
There's big signs that chaplains volunteers that way, so if you have a problem, go on up there. Thank you, really appreciate it.
And obviously, I'll recruit any of you here that would like to be a volunteer at the VA hospital. You're more than welcome to come to 4B53. And you go through a mild process. The process consists of a background check. They're going to run your fingerprints, a blood test for TB, to make sure you're not exposing our veterans, our patients, because it's still a medical facility. And I forgot what the third part was. Fingerprints, blood tests, and orientations. I'm sorry, three parts. You can volunteer at any of the departments within the hospital. At the orientation, you state your preference. They try to make an effort to slot you where you want to go. Then there's also sub-programs, for example. I am running one of the programs within the hospital. It's called No Veteran Alone. And what I match is volunteers with veterans that don't get frequent visitors. We have veterans like you mentioned in a nursing home. Somebody mentioned a nursing home. We have the nursing home where we're predominantly working right now. But if we do get a patient, let's say transferred from West Orange, patient transferred from Philly, which we've had, you know, in cases that we could offer maybe more medical assistance. You know, he's not going to get a regular daily visitor, so maybe once a week by one of us coming in makes all the difference in the world to these guys. I know I've talked very fast. I tried to cover everything. I try not to take up much of your time, but do you have any other questions? Great. Thank you all very much.
We see in the news a lot. We see criticism, and rightly so, of some things that are going on in the VA system. So that you know, the VA in the Bronx is doing amazing things. They have what's called a rewalk, where you wear it, and they give you the sticks, and you press the button, and this guy who's been in a wheelchair looking out the window watching his kids play, can press this button and goes, that's making noises now, in the future maybe it won't, but he gets up, and he can actually move and walk and get out of that wheelchair, get down the corner store. That's in the prosthetics department here too. Also the robotic hand. It's a robotic hand, it attaches, and you can actually. So the Bronx VA is at the forefront of a lot of stuff, and especially the kidney transplant unit, which is going to be something good. About the golf carts, yeah, you can't just say, here's the golf carts, ride them. I can handle a fleet for my job, and you have to have a policy. And after the policy, you have to have a train. There has to sign. You have to go through this whole thing. You can't just drive. You have to have this liability. So once they get that, you know, straightened out, I think that's a great service. And thank you for remembering Brendan Devine, who's yeah, he wanted this for a long time. Joe Bell, anything seriously? Come on.
All right, good evening, everybody. So I'll try to be brief as well. A couple of things just to follow up on Fisher House. So Metro Focus actually did a TV thing recently on, and they talked about it. They interviewed Ken Fisher. He talked about what it's about, what it's supposed to do. So I sent the link, and I can certainly send it to you, and you can put it out through email if anybody's interested in seeing that. I myself have been invited. The Orlando Fisher House just opened up on Valentine's Day, so I was invited to check that out. So I'm planning on doing that next week, just to take some pictures and see what the Fisher House looks like from the inside. In terms of just to follow up on the exoskeleton, so there has been talk at the Bronx VA about having actually a building on that side as well. And there has been initial discussions if there is a move towards a grant, at some point having to at least consider the possibility, because of the loss of all the parking space, to actually build like a three-story parking garage or something. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but it has been discussed about, so it's something to know as well. As far as the MTA, I'll just follow up, and I can tell you, as a member of the Veterans Advisory Board, we had a meeting with the Commissioner of Veteran Services, as well as some elected officials and others. The problem seems to be buy-in from CUNY and from other colleges, which I understand that the gentleman has been working on.
HP is working.
Yeah, HP is working on. So that's one of the issues. The other issues as well stems more to a political side. As everybody knows, the governor and the mayor consistently fight about who controls the MTA and, you know, all the monies and the infrastructure. And so, you know, the focus seems to get taken away, you know, when we get to those kind of conversations. But it's still a worthy cause. It's still something that, you know, we're going to push for and see if it happens. You know, we're just not getting any. I would tell you from the Veterans Advisory Board, we're not getting any positive feedback that that's going to happen in the near future. So we'll have to see how that goes. Particularly as the state budgets, I think they're running a $4 billion deficit this coming around. So I mean, that's kind of part of the conversation as well. And you know, what will be the will of the legislature moving forward when they get to the budget.
And just to clarify one thing which Joe's talking about, Joe is taking. You know, Joe's coming from the Department of Veteran Services, you know, through the city, you know, coming that way. And I don't know if you caught that, I'm coming state through state. Yeah. So I'm pushing a state issue, a kind of state track. HP and Joe is coming from the city side. So hopefully we meet at the middle and wind up with a
Yeah.
successful outcome.
I mean, HB has spoken to CUNY. In fact, they had the meeting today I was at, and, you know, there was a push. We don't know what happened with it because it was the first meeting of the new year for them as well. So everybody was kind of like, okay, so where was it at? And nobody seemed to know. So the university director is going to follow up, like, okay, what colleges are sending veterans to those NTA hearings in the future. So that's how that's going. In terms of the Veterans Advisory Report, I can tell you we put out our annual report. We do this annually. We are required by law to meet 5 times a year, and we're to meet in each borough. So in January, we met in Brooklyn. Our next meeting will be April 11th in Staten Island. I don't know when our Bronx meeting is, but I think it's in September. So again, that's part of, we have to go to every borough through the year, and that's what we'll do. But our annual report is out, and that's an annual report we have to give to the mayor and to the speaker of the city council, and we're required to do that as well. You can find that report on Department of Veterans Services website if you're interested in seeing it. One of the things we talk about is veterans on campus initiatives and supporting veterans, and on a couple of legislative fronts as well. So you can take a look at it at your leisure, and you'll see where it goes from there. In terms of one of the other things is I am the co-chair of the VA's CVED, which is a Community Veterans Engagement Board. And on that board, we actually have all the hospital directors, as well as the regional director and the cemetery director. So we meet quarterly, and we are putting together a housing. So one of the things that's come out a couple of years ago, there was an article in the New York Times about how hard it is for veterans who use their benefits to buy a house in New York City, and how, like, most realtors don't understand the process, they don't know how to do it or anything. So on the CVEB, we're going to hold at some, I think it's going to be in April. We don't have a date yet, but I certainly will keep you informed, where we're going to do what the VA offers in terms of home loans and everything that they do. So that's going to be coming from the CVEB and the regional office. Right now, they're looking to hold it at the Manhattan VA Hospital because they want it somewhat centralized to the 5 boroughs. Again, we're working on it right now. They was talking about bringing realtors in, but they decided against it. They want to just keep it to where we're only going to address, like, what the VA does, what's the process, what are the benefits, and things of that nature. Give everybody a pristine primer of what the VA offers in terms of home loans and all of that good stuff. So definitely, as that comes, I'll definitely send more information about that. And the last thing. So the City Council's preliminary budget is in full swing. And the Veterans Committee is having their preliminary budget next week. The sense is the mayor has asked for budget cuts across all agencies to 2%. We do not believe that they're going to cut the Department of Veterans Services because it's new. It's only into its 2nd budget, and the commissioner is actually still growing the department. In fact, they're still hiring a few other people, and so we're expecting that the administration will hold the line. Now, will that change in the executive budget and then when they have the executive hearing? No, but for right now, our expectation from the Veterans Advisory Board and others is that DVS will still, get the funding that they're supposed to get. Now, in terms of any other veterans initiatives, one of the things that we're fighting for is if you own a non-for-profit, if you're a veteran non-for-profit, VSO, and you're getting any money from the city in the Schedule C, you have to go through this long, arduous process through DCAS, and you have to fill out all this paperwork and this goes back to the Christine Quinn era when there was that slush fund scandal. Yeah. So everybody has to fill out this paperwork, and a lot of the stuff in the paperwork is not really relevant to veteran organizations. Because most veteran organizations, like, give you an example, in Queens, or even here in the Bronx, like, they use the money for, like, upkeep of monuments and parades or educational purposes. So it's not a lot. It's not like hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's maybe like $3,500 to like $5,000. So what we're pushing for is to try to get the city or the administration to allow DCAS or DVS to put a procurement officer into the Department of Veteran Services. So that way, when the veteran organizations are filing for that money, they don't have to go through DCAS and the whole process again, they can just go through DVS. Will that happen? I don't know, but we're gonna try and see if we can make that happen, you know, as we move along. So again, preliminary budget is coming, and you know, again, we look at it as I said before, with the new tax laws coming into effect, and the state running a deficit, and if you heard the state of the city or some of it, like, you know, some of the deficits coming perhaps to HUD or to like NYCHA or other places, we don't know where the money's gonna go on. So some money for veterans, particularly in the Veterans Initiative, may disappear or may be cut. But we're gonna try to hold the line. So we'll see how it goes, and I certainly will keep everybody informed. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I remember meeting in your apartment years ago on the other side of town. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Before you continue, if a Realtors Association wanted to have somebody come out and tell them what the benefits are, do they have somebody available to do that? If they were invited to a Realtors meeting?
I can certainly ask the question. I just know that for this event that they want to put together.
Yeah, well, that's for the veterans themselves.
Yeah.
But the Realtors need to know the information.
Well, I mean, we did focus on that. We did have a discussion about that because the thought was, well, you know, we need to educate realtors in terms of what the benefit. And if, in fact, if you go back and look at the New York Times article from a couple of years ago, that was the main problem. A lot of the realtors had no. If we lived in Florida, no problem.
Yeah, but rather than inviting the Realtors to your meeting, you need one or two people to go to a Realtors meeting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than mixing them.
Well, I'll certainly ask the question.
Yeah.
Oh, should I ask it up this one?
No, I'm actually on the board of realtors, the Association for Hudson Gateway Board of Realtors, and we cover the Bronx, Westchester, Dutchess, Ocean, Rockland counties. There's a large group who is very familiar with all the paperwork that's necessary to be done, and if you want, you can give me a card and we can match everything.
Thank you. Okay, yes, sir.
I don't know if you know David Nedman?
Yeah, I will have to talk offline. All I will say to you is, we, and when I say we, I mean like the VA and DVS have made a point not to work with David.
His focus is not veterans paperwork. So,
I would have to talk to you offline about
one of the questions is, do you understand the veterans paperwork?
Yeah.
I went to a workshop that, in case anybody's wondering who David Nedman is, he's the president of the Veterans Home Buyers Network, so, you know, I would just inquire, you know, maybe make connections or something, so.
You can skip that step.
Yeah, a lot of, I will tell you, a lot of us try to avoid David, and it's difficult.
It's better to be a separate discussion.
Yeah, it would have to be a separate discussion as to why. I will tell you that the prior commissioner confronted him about certain issues and certain items in his portfolio, so to speak, and so.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious. I mean, we focus a lot on veterans who are below the threshold. We focus a lot on veterans who, you know, require assistance and so forth in housing. What about those veterans who come in the gray area of they make too much for assistance, but let's face it, you know, they don't make 40 times the income to afford an average New York City apartment on their own. You know, like someone like me who's in that area where I make too much for assistance, but at the same time, going out there renting an apartment on the market on my own is, no matter where I move, it's going to eat a huge chunk of me.
Everyone is an individual. Sometimes you can make $150,000 and have the family number, and then be able to get the assistance with down payment and closing costs, plus use your benefits.
I'm single with no kids, so.
But then you can use, have you used your stipend?
Keith, anything on?
No, I've heard about that, man.
So then let's talk.
I make too much for any kind of assistance, but not enough to get a place on my own.
That's not true as a veteran. So definitely you need to talk to the right people, and I can help you with that.
Exactly, yeah. Keith Rivera from the.
No, I was just
Okay, yeah?
Yeah. What I wanted to stress to the veterans that are seeking homes, and this housing market is very volatile in New York City, and it's not friendly to veterans. And about 40, 50 years ago, I know veterans, and I've met them through my various times in the hospital, where it was much different. You had more accessibility. Right now, we've got too many roadblocks. In terms of getting that changed, it's not going to happen with the state unless they allow it through the governor or through the budget. It's going to have to be federal through Congress. So it's like when Peter says that he's going to check on an issue about what's going on, there's a lot of things that need to be asked. It's not just what you're going to do. This is very bad. We're actually in limbo with a city administration that just recently we found out that they had money in NYCHA and they cut it, and then he wanted to know why it was blaming it on the administration. So we're going to have a lot of problems. So we're going to have to address that through our community outreach with elected officials in Washington.
Great, thank you. Javier Castro.
Yes.
You gave me this card about a project that's coming up. I know we also have Theater of War, which is going to be shown downstairs here. You want to tell us about your?
Yeah, sure. I'll tell you guys about this and a few other things, and I'm certainly going to make it quickly. So the first event I want to tell you guys is the Vietnam Veterans Day. It's coming up March 24th. So the organization I'm associated with is United War Veterans Council. They produce Veterans Day Parade. They also produce this, and which is very, very well planned and thought out. And so essentially that day from 8:30 to 12, there will be a small march in the morning from the Korean War veterans in Brooklyn to the Vietnam War veterans downtown in Manhattan Island.
55 Water Street?
So, and then after that is the reading of the names of the fallen, and then after that is the ref laying ceremony. So that's one event. I can put it on the Facebook, the flyer, but if you really want to get the detail, I can forward it to you via email. So this, I started working this week for this organization, the Patton Veteran Project. It's run by a gentleman named Benjamin Patton. He's the grandson of George Patton and son of George Patton. He's a really cool guy. The work is quite innovative, but also very simple. It helps veterans cope with PTS through filmmaking and storytelling. And there's an event coming up actually in the Bronx, VA. I believe it's March 18th, but I have to get back to you on that. Essentially,
He did it last year.
Yes.
He
So
did, I think last year.
he did it last year.
At the VA.
Yeah.
And it was very, very well received.
This is the second one, and so he has over 50 projects, workshops all over the country. And after each workshop, a veteran is selected to create their own film. And so it's amazing. I'll give this out to you. I just started working with it this week, but it's an amazing organization. The third event I want to tell you guys about is the Intrepid. He's doing a few events in March. There is a lot of lunches and a lot of dinners, followed by films and screenings. There's one on March 9th. It's a lunch, followed by Out of My Head, which is a movie about migraines. And then March 21st is actually, they close the Intrepid population and only open it for veterans, so they get to go a night tour, they get free dinner, and then they also have a movie. That's March 21st. And then the last event is for the younger vets. It's called Sierra Club Military Outdoors. And they're a really cool program. They take young vets out camping in the Catskills and for a whole weekend. So I'm doing it this weekend. And it's they call it cold weather training. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. And I'm trying to regret it because I was born in the Caribbean.
What's the age for that?
The age?
Yeah.
I have to get back to you. They do have a waiver for kids, but I would guess it's for veterans, so adults.
Well, that's what I'm asking, because I'm between young and old. I'm in that like gray barrier when people look at me like, oh, you're too young.
I'm an adult.
And then they're like, oh, you're an old man. You're gonna be 43.
I think you can do it around that.
So,
So those are the 4 events. I know I spoke very quickly, but just connect with me afterwards and I can forward you some of these events. And then I'll leave this here. Yeah, I'll leave it here, and then as they come out, just take one. Cool.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, just want to say that the Out of My Head film is part of the Disabilities Film Festival. So that's part of that festival. They hold it like throughout the city. So it's just part of the part, that's why they're holding the film there.
Great, thank you, yeah, worthwhile stuff. And I gotta give Joe Rondo a quick shout out because he's been such great work with the city. Which I was in for a gazillion years. And I think we have a responsibility to our young people to, not make them stand at attention and crazy stuff, but teaching a little discipline, respect, and drill teams and band. It's wonderful stuff. They still have the bass drum that I played. I thought it was this big. Now it's about that.
From as far as I kind of spoke about different things that I was doing, I want to bring it back to the American Legion very quick. 2 points. One, also, I see Commander Total LeCrown hiding back there.
So it was back there, I was.
Commander Co-op City. Just very quick, to go back to something that Tony mentioned earlier that I thought about while I was sitting there that I want to clarify. Any veteran that is having surgery at the Bronx VA Medical Center has the ability to come in if, the day before, and they do have the VA Medical Center on the 4th floor, same floor that I work on. The 4th floor has what's called Hoptel. It's like a hotel, but in a hospital hotel, Hoptel. So any of either yourself or any of your loved ones that are a veteran that's going to have some type of ambulatory next day surgery can come in the night before, stay in the Hoptel, which is basically college dorm style living. Don't get all excited. No, whole food's on your own. But we do have this. And the nice part about this is we had it all along. It was being run under the VA police, but fortunately Volunteer Services last year had the insight or the foresight to take it over. So they're kind of running and managing, so they're getting the experience when it comes time to shift over to Fisher House. Now, for the long-term stuff, we're being fed patients from as far away as Philadelphia, East Orange, New Jersey, Albany, New York. We're fed in on the context of the kidney transplants. We're the regional source of kidney transplants. The medical director himself is a kidney doctor. He's a specialist in that. He not only sees patients on a regular basis, has a regular, once a week patient count, but he also does surgery. So he's not just an administrator. So I think that gives a totally different dynamic and different perspective in understanding everyone that walks through the door. I'm not defending them, I'm just stating pure fact. Now, for the patients like that are going to be here for 30 days, receive a kidney transplant, and then have to be monitored on a daily basis, those folks are being billeted currently up at Cross County Shopping Center. There's a hotel up there. I can't think of the name of it. But there is a hotel at the Cross County Shopping Center, and that's where we're billeting them, so they're relatively close. Families can travel back and forth between the VA. It's, 3-4 exits on 87.
Right.
So I don't want you to think nothing exists. We do have things in place that we're working with, but obviously the Fisher House would be the absolute prime way to conduct business with families. So we have not only, usually we're looking for greater than 50 miles, on the Hoptel. So if you're coming, let's say, out of Staten Island, yeah, we understand it might be less than 50 miles, but it might take you 6 hours to get to us. So we'll work with you on that context. But usually it's greater than 50 miles is the parameter. For the Hoptel, and I have no idea how we're going to approach the Fisher House. We want to make it clear that this is not free room and board for a weekend getaway. That's not the concept of what this is. This is so, you and or your family could be close to you for medical reasons.
It's similar to what they do at the cancer center at St. Jude's and so on. Right. It's for immediate families or patients that are seeking care at the facility. Specific specialized care.
And in the hospital, the doctor or your social worker has to authorize it.
Yeah.
So it's not just you're checking in for the day. And the last thing, the Legion on the Legion side and on the Community Board 10 side, which I'm grateful to be part of. The Legion recently realized I went to the ADAP training because my post is licensed premise in the state liquor authority. So I went to the ADAP training, and when I was there, I wrote that I met Sharice.
Yeah.
She told me about Frog's Neck CAP, which is Community Action Partnership. I'm embarrassed to say up until today, Commander, the American Legion was not on there. I don't know how that happened. I asked her. She says we were there many years ago and it kind of fell off. But we are back. We are back, Commander.
That's one of the Archdiocese.
Right.
Yeah. I was a guest speaker once.
It's important for us all. I mean, we're all asking for something, whether it's Veterans Fair or whether it's, help with the VA or whether it's golf carts. We're all looking to help each other, but we also have to look at the support here. What is the board doing? Does the board need our support? And I say this because I've been to the meetings with the liquor authority issues. If the community needs your help, the community has an issue, you need to be the community's voice there and support what the board's doing. So it's a two-way street. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Patrick Caruso from the board is a member of the Drugs Neck Community Action Partnership. And what they do is they go around and they make sure that they get the bars to promise they can sell drinks to kids and sell cigarettes to kids. It's good stuff. Yeah, Joe.
I just forgot to announce one more thing. So Hard House Elements announced that the Ironworkers Local 40-361 in New York City is now accepting applications for its apprenticeship program. So if anybody's interested, they say military veterans are encouraged to apply. So if anybody's interested, make sure you go to the Hard House Elements website, and it's listed there in the job section.
So your friends.
What's that?
So your friends.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Oh.
Yes, Irene?
Just one thing I wanted to let everyone know. I went to the chapter 23 at the DAV's chapter meeting, and I could tell you that I did get to speak to the members, and I let them know about the issue of the elders and the young veterans needing to communicate. I also told them that I want them to come and to reach out and come to Community Board 10 meetings. I know they also do meetings at Community Board 7. A lot of people were very curious. I know that because of the weather, we probably would need a bigger room. But there are people that are interested because there's really a big gap here that we're going to have to work on. But that's all I want to say. I don't want to get into any details. I just wanted everyone to know that reaching out to other Legion posts and the veterans at the VA, Chapter 23, the disabled veterans, it was actually a great experience because I got to see veterans that I normally don't see. And if I think my life has been a little tough, they certainly showed me that who fighters are. So hopefully we'll get them more engaged to come and we work with them.
And certainly it's kind of our own fault. We did it to ourselves, so we have a lot of work to do. All right.
We do have a big room downstairs.
Yes.
We are trying to start here at Samian Post, a shuffleboard club. So if you're interested, we'll take you to sign up. That's our shuffleboard table.
Oh, yes.
And there's one other in the Bronx, and so we're looking to do a little competition. Tomorrow night, we have ladies' night. Men are more than welcome, 6 to 12. And then in City Island, there's the picnic pool party. If you want, you can sign up. There's a sign-up sheet on the door. Meeting here at 5 o'clock. And then you guys can return to your ladies.
And the pickup pool, men's thingy, is that
City Island.
Here? Okay.
whoever wants to meet here,
Right.
on the sign up, they're putting together transportation.
Have fun. We try to have some fun. Bob mentioned at the last board meeting, April 4th, and I just saw a flyer, so it's at 10 for coffee and 11 will be a dedication of the seal from the World Trade Center at the Redwood Club, which is down the end of Schurz Avenue, all the way down the end by you. So if you go this, it's a nice thing to go to. Sad thing, but nice thing. Okay, any Gene?
Everybody should know Memorial Day falls on May 28th this year. There are several events that I'm sure Tony will mention. Peace Memorial, Victory Memorial, Van Ness. The week before, in Washington, D.C., there's an annual event called the GI Film Festival. If you've never attended the GI Film Festival, it's a quick train ride down. I highly recommend it, especially if you're a veteran activist, because there are dozens. They're shortening it now that they're in their 12th year, but documentaries of great work that's going on throughout the nation, and just important information.
What day again?
It's the 23rd and the 24th of May. And so usually it's a 4-day process, but the founders are in Japan helping with the USO tour. So they shortened it this year, but it's always something new and different, and it's great information. So look it up online, GI Film Festival, get all the information that you need, and support them.
Thank you. We were in that. We had our museum over here. We had a young man make a film.
Everybody knows about the Veterans Museum that's in Dormy's funeral home, correct?
We didn't win. Because I was in it.
Everybody knows about VFT, Veterans in Film and Television. For those who want to get involved in film and television, I'll get the exact information and contact information, and I'll forward it to Tony. But they basically help veteran filmmakers in front of the camera, behind the camera. If you're interested in film and television, they're a great organization as well. They work hand in hand with the GI Film Festival. A lot of their material is supplied from there each year. So I'll get that information to you, Tony.
We're going to publish on the So, yes, John.
Well, since February is coming to an end, I just want to announce that registration has been low for the cadets this year. And if anybody's got children or grandchildren 9 years and older, registration is open. We meet Friday nights and Saturday mornings at Holy Family School on Castle Hill Avenue. Like Tony said, he was a member when he was young. You know, I started in the program when I was 10 years old. Javi was a volunteer with us for a while. This program's helped hundreds of kids grow up and made their transition into the military a lot easier. I served 6 years in the Marines with the help of being a cadet, currently serving in the New York Guard. I have one of my former cadets just informed me today that he's been selected for promotion to Staff Sergeant in the U.S. Army. I got another cadet who will be graduating in 2 weeks from now from Marine Corps School of Infantry. So, you know, this is like some of the things that the cadets prepares these kids for. Also, if any adults are interested in volunteering, mentoring these kids, we're always looking for new staff members as well.
Thank you. It is a worthwhile thing. If it goes before the full board, it probably will pass. Next time around, we're going to have some more meetings than usual. And in March, next time around, we'll have elections, so if you're sick and tired of hearing me, vote for somebody else. Okay? So that's what's coming down the board. We should meet more. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. You guys make me look good, because this is a great showing.
No.
Don't, yeah, Pete.
Let me know before you close out. I don't know if anyone else has anything.
Go ahead, if you want.
No. For those that may not be familiar with the Vet Center program.
Yeah.
So the Department of Veterans Affairs, everybody knows about the benefit side, your disability checks, the home loan. Everyone obviously knows about the VA hospital and the clinics. I like to say, the little known secret of the VA. We're almost like the special unit, you know, those that were in the military, you think of the SEALs, you think of SF. The Vet Center program has been around since 1979, and we were a direct result of the need of services for Vietnam veterans. Okay, those returning home from combat, they transition both from military to civilian life, but they transition from their career, their trauma, okay? And even the large VA, big VA, sometimes has a problem knowing and or remembering who we are. So I just want to make it known that the Vet Center program is open to all veterans that have served in a combat area, okay, from any era, as well as any veteran that may have experienced trauma. And trauma can be a lot of different things, but specifically trauma while in the military. You know, without getting into too much personal information, you can discuss with me, or you can go to the Vet Center. I'm formerly of the Bronx Vet Center, which some of everyone here knows me from there. I'm now the office manager for the Queens Vet Center, which is in Woodhaven, Queens.
And where was the Bronx one?
Bronx Vet Center is on Morris Avenue between 190th and Fordham Road. So not that far from the Bronx VA. And again, it's a resource. It's designed to be community-based. It's completely separate and confidential from the VA Medical Center. All treatment and services conducted on the premises is completely confidential, even from the main VA. Okay, you have to give written specific instructions and permission for your records to be released. Okay, so we see active duty service members, we see combat veterans, families with bereavement cases, marriage and family therapists, children of deployed family members, and then we also see a large component of active federal employees because of the confidentiality. You know, veterans work within the VA. I'm a veteran, 8 years Army, Iraq 2003, 2004. And it's someplace where it's supposed to be the place you go where we understand what it is to be a veteran. Okay? So if anyone has any questions, feel free to talk to me. The easiest one to find in the VA, Keith.Rivera@va.gov. I'm the only one in all the VA. Okay, so nationwide. Yeah, it's not Keith Rivera #72 at VA. It's Keith.Rivera. So feel free to talk to me, and I'm here as long as you need me.
Thank you. I just want to mention one of our members, Colonel Bill Chin, son had a serious accident. That's why Colonel Chin's not here tonight. So I think he's okay. I think he's out of emergency, still in the hospital, but he was in a vehicle accident, so it's not funny. So that's why Colonel Bill Chin is not here tonight, so we remember him in your prayers. So can we all rise for one moment, please? Before we leave, Heavenly God, Father of mankind, judge of the nations, we need a submitting time to remember our veterans. May they be remembered as good soldiers who fought the good fight in a just cause. For the real America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, the America worth fighting for. God of mercy, whichever God we believe in, please remember our veterans suffering from physical and mental disabilities. Cheer them and their families. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much again, guys. Appreciate it. Business cards.